got 6 hours of coaching today. So here we are on the last part of our business planning. This is probably my favorite part, is this topic of 4 pillars and identifying how are we going to create business inside of our business, right? Sandra, how are we going to go out and get people to find us? So we're going to dive in. I know you guys saw this a couple months ago at an office meeting, but I'm going to go over it again because it's relevant. I think it's important that we talk about it and we dive into what are the pillars that are going to make you excited. As a coach, I don't want to beat people over the head and say, Monique, go work expireds if that's not your jam, right? You're never going to work expireds. You may tell me I'm never going to door knock. Okay, great. Well, we're going to have a conversation around that, Kim, and find out why don't you want to door knock. But if at the end of the day, it just doesn't light you on fire, then we're going to move on. And so what I love about this spreadsheet that I'm going to show you is it's got a lot of really cool ideas that are outside of that, right? Outside of the typical normal things that we talk about as far as, expireds, FSBOs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, my objective for each of you is when you leave here today is that you have 4 pillars that you are excited to say, this is where I'm going to go work my business, right? And then I want to get into, I do have it right here. I want to get into, not shameless plug, but 8 ways to dominate in the real estate market. Nate and I co-authored this. Sandra's got hers. I love it. Love it. Awesome. And so in the chapters we have, we're going to talk about some client events. We're going to talk about how do I get business? And I am all about having affordable touches, right? Because we want to lead with revenue. And I know that some of us have had a rough year as far as sales. And so I want to be mindful of how do we have touches that make sense, that are relevant for them, and that are cost effective, but still nice, right? Because we don't want to send junky stuff out. Years ago, Nate and I on the team, we would do, because, he's a big sports fan, right? We would do spring training events, and we never had the best traction with it because we were picking spring training events on like a Wednesday, Thursday in the afternoon. Well, most people have jobs, right? They can't make that. And so finding what makes sense, Monique, for your database, right? You're leaning in and starting to work some of the elderly, the golden community. And so that niche needs something different from you than, people with little kids at home, right? And so we want to identify not just the pillars, but then who are the people in the pillars and what do they want to get from you, right? What do they need from you? What is irresistible and that they can't get anywhere else, right? And so I want to identify that. There was something else I was going to say on that. Shoot, it'll come back to me. Okay. So that's my goal for you guys today. We also I'll send you out the 8651 ebook. So that is, let me make a note to do that email, so don't forget to send that out to you guys. So some of you have probably already seen it. If you're in coaching, you might have already seen it, but basically that book was designed, Viral co-authored it with 2 other people. And the whole concept of that is talking about top 50. And so you guys have heard me talk about top 50, probably tell I'm nauseous, right? So top 50 is, 50 people, Sandra, who are evangelical about you, right? They love you. They trust you. They're not going to do business without you. And they're not going to let anyone they know do business without you. And that doesn't always have to be somebody who is a past client, right? You guys have heard me share that one of Nate's top 50, she's a licensed agent. She does not practice. So she refers all her business to him. And when she sends him business, they're multi-million-dollar deals. Okay. But she isn't a past client, right? And another thing, Monique, to consider is who do they know that I need to know? Right? Who do I need? If they're hanging out, if I want to raise my price point, best way to do that is go hang out with people who can afford higher price homes, right? So getting involved in those organizations where rich people hang out. And so considering the reach, I coached a guy. He was in Penn State in Pennsylvania, and one of his top 50s was a liaison that worked for a hospital that was in the town they lived in. And this liaison their job was to settle the doctors, help them find housing, get them kids enrolled in school, et cetera, et cetera. So he made friends with this person, and it was like shooting fish in a barrel because every time a doctor would relocate into the town, he got the referral, right? And then they were only there for a 3-year residency. So then he got the sale when they moved on, right? It's 3 or 4 years. And so it was a really unique opportunity. And so I love that story because that was not by definition a past client, but it was a top 50 because this guy referred him so much business. I hope that helps to kind of get your wheels thinking. And I'm going to also send you guys the memory jogger because I have a document called the memory jogger, and it's designed to help you think about the people that you know in different industries, right? And putting those people into your database because you just never know when someone's going to reach out with the referrals. So, all right, let me do a share screen. And I need to send this to you guys too, the 4 pillars. And so again, we talked about this at one of the office meetings not too long ago, but I want to deep dive into it again, just so that we can make a note, send that to you guys too, so that we can come out of this. So obvious, right? For sell by owners and expireds. Anybody working them, put it in the chat, right? I know, Ashley, I think you're working expireds through Red X. It's not for the faint of heart. However, I have a coaching client also in Pennsylvania. She called 3 for sell by owners and got 2 appointments, and they listed one of them. And the angle was not, Roberta, was not, hey, let me come list your house. And in fact, the guy told them, the reason I let you come to my house is that you didn't ask to list my house. And so that the conversation was, Monique, is that, hey, can I add you to my secret inventory? I have buyers that I'm working. Can I add you to my secret inventory? And so that's how they got their foot in the door. They ended up building a rapport. They're listing the house, right? And so we don't want to go in on a for sale by owner and ask to list the house. They've put a sign in their yard that says, I don't want to work with a realtor. And so if you call them up and say, hey, can I list your house? You're already done. And so momentum, when we teach the momentum class, that script says that I specialize, no, that's a different one. That's expireds. I specialize in homes that should have sold that didn't, not for sale by owners. But so with for sale by owners, the objective is just to get your foot in the door. Expireds, again, I work with homes that should have sold that didn't. You got to have tough skin if you're going to work those. Okay. Obviously, some of you have come in from a past life, right? So what is your previous job, that you might have some connections there that you can still continue to work? Kristen, we've talked a lot yesterday about you continuing to work the school districts and the teachers. And so thinking about that, open houses, you guys, if you're not doing open houses, have a conversation with me offline, because open houses work. Monique, you could put it in the chat how many deals you've closed from open houses, right? Steve Cushing, who's one of our agents, he kills it with open houses. And he shared with me back in March that in a 6-month period of time, he had accumulated 60 leads from open houses. So they do work, right? They do work. But if you think they don't work, then they're not going to work for you. So let's have a conversation offline. Attorneys, let's talk about attorneys in general. So this says divorce attorneys, and somewhere on here, it's going to say probate attorneys too. We have a whole class of people, you guys, a whole demographic of people that sadly are going to be passing on. And so I think there's a couple opportunities we have. So divorce attorneys, potentially 3 transactions, right? Divorcing, they're selling the house they own together, they each got to buy. Okay. So those are good contexts to have too. Those can be difficult situations. So you got to be prepared for that, but definitely a viable pillar if that's what you want to work. You have to emotionally be prepared for that one because they can be kind of ugly. So just be mindful of that. But going back to the probate attorneys, we've got a generation of people that are going to be passing on. And I think there's 2 opportunities. There's the opportunity to get in front of it before they go into the senior living, right? And have those conversations with them. And Monique, Monique's got a great story where she actually helped a little lady find a place, help her get her house cleaned out, right? You got the house on the market and you sold it already, didn't you? Yeah, so you already got it under contract, but that's going above and beyond, right? And helping her find a facility to move in because the lady has nobody here, helping her downsize, do the estate sale, all of that. Monique, you want to share anything about that experience?
I don't know what to say. I mean, it was
I think I said it all for you, right?
yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was emotional too, because she kind of got sick in the middle of it, but we got through it and she's settled in her place.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked out well. It worked out well.
Yeah, and that's going above and beyond, but it's also a part of our job, right? Is to help this person find housing, right? And so I think there's 2 elements to it, right? There is the elements of getting in front of it before they go into the facility. And then there's the element of getting in with the facilities, right? So I know, Roberta, you've been doing a little bit of this, but find a senior community that you want to work, and once a month, go in there and take bagels and talk to the employees, right? And make sure they have your business card, make sure they know why they should be referring you when a family comes in looking for a place for their parents, right? Or the mom or dad. So getting in front of that. Last week, I don't know how many of you were on that call with the probate attorney, but he was brilliant and just, to take a really boring topic and make it exciting and interesting was really great. So watch the repeat because we did record it. But one of the ideas he had was doing a beneficiary deed for having your clients do that. So that helps when one of them passes on, it helps avoid the house going into probate, right? So really, really brilliant idea. I would, if I were you, I'd put his phone number in your phones and save it and bookmark it because he was a wealth of knowledge. And not a typical attorney. So I really enjoyed him, and I'm glad Jody sent him our way. So probate, divorce attorneys, businesses to businesses. If you guys are referring business to another business, they should be reciprocating. Now, I get it with loan officers and title that they know a lot of realtors, but at least once a year, you should be getting something from them, right? And if you're not, you need to be having those conversations, right? New construction, we have a ton of new construction happening over in the West Valley. There's designations you can get for new construction. Roberta, go ahead.
I want to just go back to business. There's more than just working our vendors. There's BNI, there's Alignable, there's all sorts of different, like chambers. Those are a little harder because there's lots of realtors at those, but there are other ways to work business to business, and those are good pillars for us as well.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. You're going to be starting your BNI again too, right? That's on your goals to do. So yeah. Okay, so new construction, farming. Monique's doing this farming area in Sun City West, Sun City. Farming, we have a class about that. The thing about farming is you have to commit to that for at least 12 months. So for some of you that are starting out new, farming is something I would probably put on the table for future, just because there is a lot of cost associated with it on the upfront, right? We have to be able to commit to at least a year of paying for marketing that you may or may not get anything. Right. And it doesn't do you any good to start and do 3 months and then stop, right? Because you've just wasted 3 months of time and effort and money. Okay. Nate is the king of farming. So we'll probably have him do another farming class here soon. Military. We've got a base, right? We got a base in Phoenix. And so could we work the military relocation type stuff, get in good with somebody over there? Most bases have a liaison that helps the families get settled. So could you figure out who that person, I think they call them a sponsor. And so could you figure out who that person is and make nice with them? If work in the military is your thing, right? I think Remax was doing something. It's been a minute since I've heard anything about it, but I think there was some program that we had affiliation with working with the military. Pay per click, that is paying for Google ads, online leads. We've got KV Core, so definitely some stuff that you guys could play with there to see if that would generate some business. That's a long game, right? So doing internet leads, you guys, a lot of those are 24 months out. And the money, if you're going to do online leads, you have to understand that the money is made in the 5th to the 12th touch. We had a gal in our office that had worked a Boomtown lead, and it was 2 years in. The guy had given her a fake name, and she kept following up with him, and it eventually ended up in $900,000 in transactions. But had she given up, right? 2 years is a long time to commit to working someone, right? But she just kept following up. So you have to understand that if you're only making one inquiry or response back, you're not doing enough. Right. And back when I was a full-time agent on Nate's team, I would call you 3 times and then you went into the circular file, which is the trash can. Would that work today? No, I'd be out of business, right? So Verl, if you've ever heard him speak, he says we have to follow up until they either buy or tell us to die. Right. And if we read the Augmentino, he says, one of the scrolls says, I will persist until I succeed. And so we have to continue following up. So pay-per-click, again, I want you guys to walk away with 4 pillars that you don't necessarily have to pay for. Nate and I talk about hopium in the book, right? And if you look at that chapter, we have a drawing of an arm with an IV stuck in it, right? And it's basically buying leads. We get addicted to buying leads. What was there, 200 million leads that were purchased last year and only just slightly under 6 million homes sold, right? So we get addicted to buying leads, hoping it's going to make us money when 49% of the leads that we pay for as an industry never get one response back. So think about that, Monique. You're shelling out money for leads, hoping it's going to make you money, and you're addicted to it. Not necessarily you, but you get what I'm saying. In general, we're addicted to it, and then we don't even follow up. Right. And so be careful with that. I would much rather see you guys go after number one, your very first pillar I'm going to give you is your top 50. So that's the 50 people who love you. They won't do business without you. Okay. So that's number one. And the whole concept of 4 pillars that Workman advocates is we want each pillar to independently be able to support your business 100%. Personally, I think that 75% should be your top 50, your database, right? Your top 50 in your database. And then let's identify 3 other pillars that will make up the 25% of the other stuff. Too many agents are leaving money on the table because they're not keeping in contact with the people that they've already done business with. We've helped them with their primal need of shelter, right? We just fast tracked it. Think about going on a blind date, right? you've already picked out China and wedding invitations and you haven't even met the person. And so then we get in the car with somebody, we spend the next, week with them, we'll get to know them, we're intimate with them, then they close in the house and we're done. Communication's done, right? We can't do that. They want to continue to have a relationship with you. I love when people call me Eric and they go, do you remember me? Of course I remember you, right? And so we have to stay in touch. And you guys, I shared this recently, my own limited thinking around top 50. As I said to Nate, I feel like I'm bugging them. I don't want to call them every month. And he reminded me of a coach that is in our organization who closed 78 transactions from her top 50. And he said, do you think that she felt like she was bugging them when she called them to get 78 transactions? And I had kind of a smack me around moment, right? So 75, my personal opinion, a minimum 75% should come from your top 50 in your database. Okay. And then, so I got to move through these pretty quickly here. Colleges, we've got colleges in town working that. Client parties, we're going to talk a little bit about that too. Client parties, NAR came out with a statistic a few years ago. It said one of the best ways to generate new business was having client parties, getting face-to-face with people. They all come to you, right? We're not running around doing pop buys. They come to you. What's happening right now? And then what's cool about that is now you've got people in the room talking about you, right? Talking about their experience they had with you. Some of you are going to be doing Pi Day coming up next month. So that's a really great opportunity to get in front of people. And it's an easy event to pull off. Getting involved in charities. If you guys want to grow your price point, get involved in charities. Go where the rich people are. Right? That the people that have money, they get involved in charities, they give back, right? So go where those are. Social groups, so in person or online. It's come up a couple times this week, is a website called Meetup, right? So meetup.com. It's been around for a while. I actually used to run a meetup myself back in the day, and a couple times I've done them. And so it's a great way to go meet people, especially if you're new to the area. Go join a meetup. Do something that you like to do, right? And go join a meetup, and then show up with your swag. Even if you walk in, Monique, you take your name tag off. Oh, this thing, I just got done with an open house. You're leaving the impression, right, of the Remax balloon, okay? We'll get some branded shirts. I'm wearing my Remax shirt today. So seminars, let's talk about seminars. So seminars could be, we have move up or downsize. They could also be what, like Roberta's doing. They're doing the Taco Tuesday thing. We've had the investor type stuff happening where we've had those seminars. So what does your database need? Right? I love the investor seminar because, while numbers are a little tough right now, but when we do an investor seminar and we educate people about how they can invest in real estate, we're changing their lives, right? We're helping them create financial wealth. I asked somebody yesterday what was a bucket list vacation spot, and they said, I don't know. I've never thought of that. And it kind of blew my mind because I was like, how do you not dream? Right? How do you not think about like going to Africa or, where my nephews and I are planning a trip to the UK. So like, I'm super excited to go to the Abbey Road because it's on my bucket list. Right. And so when we think about changing people's lives, right, investing in them to help them buy real estate that changes their lives, and, educating them, because a lot of people think that, well, I can't do it because I don't have any money. Well, let's find ways, let's be creative, right? Let's find ways around that. So I love any kind of seminars where you can get people together and educate them, pour into them, and make their lives better. Foreclosure, bank businesses, foreclosure is a whole other topic. I'm probably not going to spend a lot of time there. If we start to see an uptick of foreclosures, Nate and I will be all over that, I promise you. And you will know everything you need to know about working foreclosures. But that being said, you should be paying attention to your database and checking that. Right? You can go into the tax record and see if there's a pending foreclosure, right? You could do that now. You could go into Glendale, put in 85308, see how many new pending foreclosures there are. Nobody should let their house go to foreclosure right now. So if you want to work that, I would work it right now at the angle of helping them get out of the situation, get their house sold before it goes to foreclosure. Okay. Again, parties, housewarming parties. This was such a fun, great idea back in the day. We actually had signs made up, directional signs that would point you to the property for the housewarming parties. So you want that concept here is that if you're going to host the party, right? You're going to pay for everything, but you're going to pay for the meat or something. Don't pay for the alcohol, but you're going to show up. And you're going to do the invitations. And why do we want the invitations, Monique? Because I want to put those people in my database. Right? You invite 50 people or 75 people. I've just added those people to my database and I'm going to start dripping on them. You will be the most important person at the party. I promise, right? Because people are going to want to talk to you about real estate. Rose did this a number of years ago when Kevin bought his first place. They did a housewarming party / educational. And so he invited all his friends. She had a loan officer there, and they actually, I think it was 2 or 3 people they qualified on that night. And I know at least one person bought a property from her because as a result of that event. Okay. Let's see, teachers. We've talked about that. Kristen's kind of killing it with that, sponsoring teachers. We've talked about the senior communities, sponsorship opportunities. Barb Henderson used to do, and I think she probably still does, a science scholarship for Sandra Day O'Connor High School. So if that's something that you're passionate about, or you have children in the school, Ray Evans, who is an agent who has since retired, when his son was in high school, he played basketball. So he would sponsor the basketball team. And then every time he would go to the games, they would say, hey, the Evans are in the house, and he would stand up and wave, right? And so if you've got children in school or you want to get involved in that. Funeral homes, estate sale planners is in here somewhere, kind of goes along with the whole probate thing, right? Getting in good with those people. So I mean, it's kind of a sad topic, but I actually have a client that I coach that she lives in a smaller community, but she reads the obituaries and she sends condolence cards when she reads an obituary and she knows the person. So kind of sad, a little bit stalkerish, but it's an idea, right? To get you out there. And so do more people know you. Relocation. I'm not a super huge fan of relocation these days. We used to do a ton of it back when I was a rookie agent, because there were so many people moving in. And I'm not saying don't do it, especially because we've got the Taiwanese chip plant. We've got a lot of stuff coming in, a lot of growth happening, but my challenge with them is there's such a cost associated, right? I mean, a lot of them want 35 to 45% these days, and it's just a really expensive funnel. So, I mean, obviously don't turn it away if you get some. And I think that we should, as RE/MAX agents, we should be paying attention to the global exchange specifically for people that are coming in for the Taiwanese plant. Sandra, I know you've got some connections with that. So definitely maybe that might be a pillar for you. And so and next year at R4, you guys, all of us dropped the ball going to the global exchange. And so I would put that on your list to do next year's go to the global exchange. Okay. Mom and dad groups. And so these are, Christy Kohlberg is an excellent example of mom and dad groups working. She joined a mom's group with her twin boys, and it is a massively strong pillar in her business. So Monique, you've got a little guy, go join a mom's group, right? It's good for you. It's good for him, right? So those are, for her, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? She gets so much business from that. Let's see. Little leagues, moving vans. I can spend a lot of time on that. Investors. I don't know that investors are really a pillar I would want to work today, just because the numbers are just they're just not there, unless they have cash and they're going to be realistic. Most of the investors we come across, right, these days all want something that's cheap, and they want to get a good deal, which I personally I probably wouldn't work that unless you've got somebody in your pocket that is realistic, who does actually want to buy homes and not just waste time. Okay. So getting involved in like Valley Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or other school programs, volunteering is an excellent way to get new business. I know Debbie Parkins does that with, I think it's the Lions Club. And I believe she shared with me that is one of her strong pillars. So we've talked about estate and probate, short sale, pre-foreclosure. Just be intimate with your database, you guys. You should be checking your top 50 and knowing what's going on with them all the time. Social media. I think social media is a great pillar. I think that it sometimes is hard to quantify what we actually are getting from that. I sold a lady a house during the summer of COVID, and we were friends on social media, but we actually met through my brother. And so was she a sphere? And we haven't hung out as a group in a really long time. So was she a sphere, or was she Facebook? I engaged with her on Facebook, right? We're friends on Facebook. And she messaged me through Facebook when she decided she wanted to buy a house. And so I have a hard time with that one, because is she sphere or is she Facebook, right? And so social media can be hard to qualify. If you're paying for leads on social media, that's a little bit different. And again, I want to be mindful that you're tracking that. Anything that you spend money on, you want to have a 3 to 4 times return on investment. So if you start spending money on ads, you want to make sure you're tracking it, and that it's making sense, and that it's you have a good return on it. Let's talk about YouTube for a second, which is not on here. YouTube, you guys, is a real player. And so is LinkedIn, which I'll talk about that in a second, which is also not on here. YouTube, right? We had that class a couple weeks ago. It is a real contender. One of my gals I coach in Houston, her one video has gotten over 1 million views, and they set it was either 14 or 17 buyer consultations in 1 month from YouTube. And spoiler alert too, is that once you get a certain amount of content and a certain number of followers, YouTube starts paying you. And so there's somebody in our industry, I don't know what market she's in, but I was told that she made $90,000 from her YouTube channel. And so I don't know about you guys, but 90 extra $1,000 would be pretty good in the pocketbook, right? All from doing YouTube. And I know Lynette has started doing that in our office. So, you know, you could call her and pick her brain. I think her one video has gotten close to 40,000 views now, which is, you know, reasons not to move to Phoenix. Okay. So social media, if you're going to pay that, YouTube videos, right? I mean, there's space, there's opportunity in our market, right? And Monique, you know, maybe you and I should have a conversation about, can we use that in your senior community? I don't know, right? I will tell you, if you want to work the next generation of home buyers, which is Gen Z coming into the marketplace, if you're not on TikTok or YouTube, you're going to miss that market. If that's your niche, if that's a niche you want to create. And it's a niche we should probably start paying attention to. You know, my nephew is 22, going on 23. He's making good money at his job, right? He's got no responsibilities. He has a Facebook account, but he's not on there. He consumes all of his content on either TikTok or YouTube. And when I did the road trip with my other nephew who just turned 18, was talking about different shows, and he's like, I don't watch any of that. I watch everything on YouTube. I stream everything on YouTube. Right. And so that's where they are. Right. And Wayne Gretzky said what made him great at playing hockey was he skated to where the puck hat was going, not where it had been. And so if we want to work that demographic, and guys, they have goals to buy homes. There was an article that was produced a year or two ago from Riz Media, and there was a survey done, and they surveyed Gen Zs, and they had a goal to own a home before they turned 30, unlike their siblings who didn't mind staying home, right? And staying in mom and dad's basement for a long time. And so they need to be educated, right? Now's the time to start dripping on them. And so if you've got, if I had children, these would be children my age, right? So if I'm in your database and I have 2 children that are now becoming adults, that's opportunity for you to create new business, right? But you got to know that. You got to be paying attention, okay? Door knocking. I know some of you probably will be like, no way, Sarah, I'm never going to do it. And that's fine. That's totally fine. However, there are people that make money off of door knocking. Okay. So it's one of the oldest ways to prospect. And I'll tell you, I bought Kirby vacuums from a door knocker. Bought a Kirby vacuum, right? I lost it in my divorce, damn it. I loved that vacuum, but I bought a vacuum from a door-to-door salesman, right? So, you know, so it does work, right? And if you have a new listing, the statistics say that new listing, there's 2 statistics about listings. They should result in 1.5 buy sites, right? If you leverage. And then we know that within the next 90 days, roughly, 1 to 3 more homes will be listed within vicinity of that. So if you're door knocking and you're canvassing, those are opportunities you're creating, right? To at least get a conversation with that potential seller. Okay. Networking. You guys, when you go to R4, make it a point, get some swag, make it a point to connect with as many people as you possibly can and network, right? Because people will send referrals. I've closed several deals this year on outbound referrals that I've sent to other RE/MAX agents. And so there is business to be had there. If you're a CRS or a GRI or an ABR, whatever, you have your alphabet soup behind your name, you know, reach out to those people, offer to do, 28% referral fee, but you do something different, right? If you lived in another state and you have family there, network that. When I first got in the business, I was 21, right? So my friends, they weren't thinking about buying homes. They were in the clubs, right? And so I would do these, Nate had these old postcards that were 4-up, right? With the old dot matrix printer. Oh, I used to curse trying to get these things to print, but I did the chicken soup for the soul story, right? And I only had like this much room because it was a postcard, right? And so and it was a 4-up. So it was one of the small postcards. So I had a real small space. And so I would paraphrase a chicken soup for the soul story inside this postcard, and I would mail it out, right? And I would mail it out to my family that was in Washington and Oregon, right? And still to this day, and I haven't done those postcards in a long time, still to this day, I have those family members reach out to me when they have real estate needs. So I can refer them to either lender, realtor, whatever, right? So we have opportunities. So if you have family in other places, make sure they know that you belong to one of to the largest real estate firm, that has the most networking opportunities, right? And so that could be a whole other top 50, right, for you, okay? Unions, we don't really have a lot of unions here. Marriage licenses or even the wedding expo. We used to pay attention to marriage licenses, especially if people are older getting married, because there could be multiple transactions involved. But definitely if it's a younger couple or they buying a house, right? Leases. So let's think about rentals. If you are paying attention to rentals, like say you wanted to, farm Arrowhead Ranch, for example, and look at the rentals, start dripping on someone who's 6 months into their lease, right? People who rent oftentimes don't know that they could buy. Right. And people who are renting, if you are working rentals, I don't know if she's on here. Jennifer was hustling the rentals there for a minute. Try to convert them. If you've got rentals, they're fast cash, right? So if you need quick money to help pay your bills, work some rentals, reach out to Vern in property management. He'll send you leads. And so if you work in the rentals, and sometimes those people they don't know that they can buy, right? And if you help them rent, get them hooked up with a lender. If they've got credit issues, get them hooked up, get them set up on something to help them be able to be a homeowner, right? And so when we serve regardless of opportunity, right? Bandino says that I will greet this day with love in my heart, right? So I looking at these pillars and figuring out which one's going to set you on fire, which one's going to make you feel the best at what you do, so that you can reach more people and make a bigger difference. I've said this a couple times. You can't do cool things in the world if you're broke. Right. And so we have an obligation. Jen Sincero, in one of my favorite books, says that if you have a gift or a talent that changes the world, you have an obligation to share it. Right. So school functions, getting involved in that. I personally have always thought it was a cool idea, and I don't know where I heard this, but to sponsor a cop coming into a school and doing the fingerprints, right, and getting children registered. I've always thought that would be a cool idea to do that. It's not really a pillar, but it's an event that you could sponsor. Okay. Apartment complexes, again, hustling the rentals, just listed, just sold. I'm not sure that's. It goes back to that farming area and having that be a pillar. And because so many of us sell houses in so many different places, I just don't know if that's really a strong pillar that I would push for you guys, because there's a cost associated to that. Let me go back to LinkedIn really quickly. LinkedIn's a sleeper. I coached a gal in the Denver market, and last year when we did her business plan, she said, LinkedIn's going to be one of my pillars. And I was like, what do you mean LinkedIn's going to be one of your pillars? And she's like, yep, I'm going to make it a pillar. My final coaching call with her, she had $5 million in the books from LinkedIn. And so what she was doing is just being very effective with putting out posts about real estate information in Denver. And so she wrote blogs and educating people about the market in Denver. And $5 million, you guys. And my last call with her was a month ago. And so, in just shy of a year, she had $5 million just from doing posts on LinkedIn. So it's a sleeper. I think that we're all missing out on it. I'm on LinkedIn, but am I active? No. Right. And so it's definitely a pillar that could work, that there's no cost associated to, right? It's just your time to create posts. Corporations.
And these people have jobs.
Oh, go ahead.
I said, those people have jobs. So that's, makes sense.
Right. They have jobs. And when someone meets you, what's the first thing they do? They Google you. Yeah. Right. They Google you. And if you're a professional to a professional, there was a statistic years ago about LinkedIn, like 87% of people, it was a trust factor that they trusted you if they met you on LinkedIn. Right. And they had that connection on LinkedIn, which is kind of crazy. Right. And so then pair that with Remax. Right. And so I don't know. It's one of those that we probably should be paying attention to. Builders. So making nice with the builders. I know some of them have relationships with, or have their own real estate companies, but there are builders out there that don't have that. And even just, Nate used to be real good friends with a gal that was with Toll Brothers in Blackstone. And she referred him all kinds of business. And so, going out there and getting to know the salespeople, take them a Starbucks, right? You should be visiting the new constructions anyways to know what the incentives are and what's happening out there. You guys, I was out in Buckeye a couple weeks ago and I was blown away, absolutely blown away at what Buckeye's doing. And the incentives were crazy. I was like, I wish I had a gob of money to go buy a bunch of these houses because the incentives were amazing. So get out. If you don't have anything going on, go preview the new construction. So teaching and speaking opportunities, right? So getting out there, if that's your passion, right? To get out and teach and speak and educate. Newsletters. So doing a monthly newsletter. That's one of Nate's kind of strong pillars in his database. And the Claytons and a couple other people do monthly newsletters. That is was designed by Orlando, but he's gone. So if that's something you want, I'll get you hooked up with Angie. She can help you design it. There is a cost associated to that. You could do it digital, right, and send it via email, and that's okay too. But we could talk about that a little bit more on what would be the best tool to use for that, best platform. But in newsletters, you guys are high impact, especially if you're highlighting, like, we used to do, when I did Nate's newsletter, we did anniversaries and birthdays. If someone had a baby or, some milestone in their life, right? And so it's highly customized, but a high impact piece. And it does get opened, and people, when I was doing Barb Henderson's, she went on a listing appointment. And the guy had all her newsletters stacked up. He had hung on to them and he highlighted all the statistics. So he was reading that and checking it every month. And when the time came, and at that point, when I was doing her newsletter for her, she had #1 market share in Stetson Hills, and we attributed it directly to that newsletter. So high impact on that, you guys. So that's a nice touch to do. So let me shift gears here and let's talk about. So I'll send you guys the 8651. But literally, if you look at chapter 8, literally, there are ideas for every single month of the year. And I think it's important that you guys get this done like now, because once the holidays roll around, we tend to, be focused on the holidays, which, just a reminder, the holidays are usually like one day, not an entire month, just saying. So, because we got to remember, Sandra, what you do today affects your business 30 to 45 days from now, right? And so it's fine to go on holiday. Just know that if you want a strong January, you need to be working in November and December, right? And remember, we're in a planting market. We are planting seeds for the spring market. And so the more you do today, and those of us in the gas program, right, we've all been, pushing the 50 contacts every week, which I have yet to make it. Darn it, I'm going to do it this week. I've gotten to 30, but I haven't managed to get to 50, Monique, but I've gotten to 30. So it's at least good. So January, right? Nate does a thing called January 10th letters. I do it as well. So basically, why it's called January 10th is because we mail it out on January 10th. But that is a copy of their closing statement from if they bought or sold a house from us. Normal people with jobs do their taxes in January. Not us. We wait till April or September. And so normal people, because they want to get their tax returns, right? So if you send a copy of their closing statement, that's something that they need, right? To help them get their taxes done. I'm not going to necessarily read through all of these ideas, but chapter 8, I mean, you've got New Year's, you have Martin Luther King Day, you have Chinese New Year. A lot of people are underinsured right now. So sending out a letter, letting them know, like, hey, talk to your insurance agent, because their price, the home values have gone up. And so they're underinsured. And so that's a nice touch as well. February, I love the idea of doing a blood drive in February for Valentine's Day. Right. My heart bleeds for your referrals. And so I love that idea. I think Danielle's the one that does blood drives in our thing. Valentine's Day, I went to Costco and got the big box of popcorn, and then I just put it in an envelope, and it just said popping in to say, I love your referrals or whatever it was, right, for Valentine's Day. I got so much feedback on that. People loved it. It was just a stupid little bag of popcorn, right? It was nothing crazy. And so and that's a really super cheap, it was like 50 cents a piece, I think, was the cost of it, going to Costco and buying the box. I think it was exactly 50. So you got Valentine's Day, birthdays, home anniversaries. You guys, birthdays are huge. There's so much value in a birthday, in any kind of touch. Like I use send out cards. And so, I had the gal from Oregon one of my favorite clients, she had to put her dog down. And so I grabbed a picture off social media, went onto my send out cards, and I sent her a condolence card. And, she messages me, oh my God, thank you so much. But here's the thing, that card will never get thrown away. Right? It's never going to get thrown away, Kristen. And every time she looks at it, she's going to think of me. I did that with another guy on his birthday, and same thing. He was like, this was the coolest thing I got for my birthday, and I'm putting it in a frame. And so send out cards is a cool option, and you could do that for all sorts of things. So make it a point in your business plan, like when they close, take a picture of them. And then when it's the 1-year anniversary, do a send out card and send it to them. Right. I did that with one of my clients, and she went all over Facebook with it, right, and tagged me in it, and the coolest realtor ever. And so people see that, right? So February, you've got Groundhog's Day, President's Day, Black History Month, Valentine's Day, National Random Acts of Kindness. I have a client I coach that does that every year, wildly successful. And so that's something, again, what I want you to think about is, first thing is, what are the 4 pillars? So I've already given you number 1, right, is your top 50 sphere of influence. What are the other 3 things? Monique, yours is going to be the golden community, right? That's your second one. So now you just got to find 2 more. And so what are your 4? And then now we're going through ideas monthly of what are those touches could be. Because it's one step, Sandra, to identify what the 4 pillars are. But now we have to say, what am I going to do to get in front of these people to make them send me business? right? So random act of kindness is awesome. Roberta does a Super Bowl thing, which is pretty successful too. She does like a text out on Super Bowl, or you watching the game or the Puppy Bowl, and what's your over under, that sort of thing. And it engages pretty well. So March, I have done for the last several years, St. Patrick's Day cards with scratchers inside the St. Patrick's Day. I use a company called Note Card Cafe, and for 50 of them, customized to me, return envelope, everything, for $27. So super cheap for a cost for 50 of them. What I have done is, don't leave your home values up to the luck of the leprechaun or whatever. One year I hand wrote the momentum script. The average person will know 5 people who will make a move in the next 12 months. I'd love to be top of mind when you hear of those folks. Here's a few of my cards. It nearly killed me, Monique, to write 50 times that script in there, but I got a referral and it was a $10,000 commission check. So my cost for, so what, $1 for scratchers, $27 for the postcards, and then postage. I think my ROI was pretty good on that, right? To get a referral. And I don't know if I would have got the referral. We're friends on social, but I hadn't talked to this lady in a long time, right? Embarrassingly, hadn't talked to her in a long time. And she's not a past client. She's someone I know from Toastmasters. And it was within a week of sending that card out, I got that referral, and it ended up in a $10,000 commission. So don't underestimate that. Okay, April, Easter eggs, right? We got Easter stuff you can do. Some people have done pictures for that. I did one year for Easter, or for April, I did flower seeds and sent those out, right? Because that's the time of year people plant, and it was pretty successful. Obviously, you got Easter, you have National Pet Day, Earth Day, Arbor Day. I have a client I coached that during COVID, we did Arbor Day, and they gave out seedlings as like a drive-through, just come pick up a tree. It was so successful that they are now up to 200 trees that they have to buy. So it's surpassed their top 50. And so Arbor Day is a really good touch, because I just planted a tree in my front yard, right? Everybody loves that. May, so you've got May Day. Same client did May Day baskets, which I don't know if you guys familiar with May Day. I used to do it as a kid. You show up with a basket and you put it on someone's front door, right? And you do the ding dong and you run away. But there's a whole history to it, right? Of May Day. And they started doing that too. And it was super, super successful. In fact, they had, awesome. I love that. So they had a lady reach out to them that was a past client of theirs. She had moved to Florida. Her 2 children still lived in the town where they were at. And she said, they're so depressed about COVID. Can you go take them a basket? And so we were able to add 2 people into the database that were not past clients, right? But because the mom saw it from Florida on social, right? So we never know who's watching, you guys, and who's paying attention, okay? So you got that. Shred events, I think, are awesome, depending on your demographic, right? If your demographic is younger, they're not keeping their crap, right? Everything's all filed away and done, right? So depends on your demographic. If you've got my generation and older, shred events are good, okay? Birthdays, anniversaries, you've got Easter, you have National Pet Day, Earth Day, so okay, May Day, Cinco de Mayo, right? What about doing a Cinco de Mayo happy hour? It's a great way to get people in front of you. You got Derby Day, which I had a client do a Derby Day event. It was so fun. It was so much fun. She got the ladies with the big hats and she hosted it. It was just a really cool event. Mother's Day, also a really, really great touch, you guys. So Mother's Day, Father's Day, Grandparent Day, and Pet Parent Day. And there's also Step Parent Day. So I had a stepson, doesn't talk to me anymore, but I have pets, right? So if you sent me a Pet Parent Day card, I would think that was pretty freaking cool. Okay. National Coffee Day. Yeah, that's another good one too, Roberta. I've got it in here somewhere. Memorial Day, National Star Wars Day, Cinco de Mayo, National Wine Day. That's another good one. Host a wine tasting thing. Go to a place and have some wine, right? There's all kinds of cool places. June, I think, is a good month for movies. It's hot, right? Kids are just getting out of school. People aren't. July could be a little wonky because people are on vacation, right? But June, usually they drop big blockbuster movies. That's a great event to host. They're reasonably affordable and they're easy to pull off because there's not any setup or cleanup, right? You get there, you get them in, get them out, and you're done, right? If you're going to do a blockbuster, make sure you do it on opening weekend. Typically doesn't cost any more money to do that on opening weekend. Because if it's a big movie like Top Gun, for example, I had several clients that were going to do that when it was supposed to come out. And they had rented like a Goose and a Maverick, right, to take pictures with. And then COVID happened. But big blockbusters, and make sure it's family friendly, right? Let's see. June. We should be making phone calls to our top 50, right? Into our databases, to these pillars, right? At least once every quarter, your top 50 should hear a phone call from you. If you really want to step it up, do once a month, right? And then follow up with a note card, right? So do a note card said, you know, it was great talking to you, Sandra, or if I didn't talk to you, sorry, I missed you here, you know, whatever, right? So that note card has additional value that will get opened up. Okay. So tips on how to plan a family vacation, right? How about water safety tips? We've got Father's Day in there too. You have Flag Day, National Donut Day, and it's Pride Month. And then we have summer solstice. June, or I'm sorry, July. Obviously, you got 4th of July, which I've done a few different things. I love the idea of doing a pop-by in July with go to Costco and get that mustard relish ketchup thing. It comes in a pack, right? And if you go online and Google it, there's a cute little saying about catching up, and I'm the realtor with the mustard, blah, blah, I relish your referrals, something along those lines. I'm butchering it, but y'all can find it on the internet. Do a pop by, right? Those things are, I think they're like $7. Everybody's going to use them. And July is, you know, that's the month people, you know, even though it's hotter than the sun's surface, we do like to barbecue in July. Any kind of events like Nate does, and I'm kind of going with monthly touches and also client events just due to time. Nate's been doing not just movie events, but like concert type things too. And so he's been trying to find out in his top 50 who they like as far as entertainment. And if they come to town, buying a suite and then inviting the top 50. Now, I know that might be a little pricey for some of us, but it's a good idea, right? And to be intimate with your top 50. You know, baseball, I don't know, Diamondbacks aren't here now, but couple nights ago, how many of us could have called up our top 50 and be like, hey, you want to go to a baseball game? Somebody told me they only paid $28 to get tickets to go to the game, right? So you make a bunch of phone calls, Kristen. Hey, you want to go to the Cardinals game this weekend? No, sorry, I can't. Hey, you want to go to the Cardinals game? You keep calling. And if no one says yes, you've spent no money. When you get someone who says yes, then you go to the box office, you buy 2 tickets, they'll be at will call for you. Right. And if you do it the day before or 2 days before, most people, Eric, are going to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy, but thank you so much for calling me. I didn't spend any money, Monique. I don't actually have the tickets, but I made a bunch of phone calls, made a bunch of people feel good that I thought of them to send them to the Diamondbacks game. You want to level up, buy an extra set and go with them, right? Buy an extra set and go with them. And then that way, now you're taking pictures, they're tagging you, and everyone's like, hey, how do I get tickets to go to the game with my realtor? Right? Okay. Let's see, back to school tips. I think that's good. July's, like I said, July's kind of the wonky month because of vacations, but it is National Ice Cream Month and there's a National Ice Cream Day. I have several people I coach that have been doing those events. Did you do it? How was it?
So one year I just posted without commenting that it was National Ice Cream Month. I just posted at the beginning of the month. Hey, just, you know, what's your favorite ice cream? Blah, blah, blah. And people commented. It was the weirdest thing. I mean, more than usual. I mean, a lot. Yeah. And so I just made a station, and on the, I don't know, somewhere in like the 3rd week, I went and I bought a bunch of little itty bitty Ben and Jerry's and I delivered them all. People were like, what is this? And I said, well, it's National Ice Cream Month. And they was like, how did you know I liked Cherries Garcia? And I'm thinking,
do you not remember commenting?
It gave me a pop by and a face-to-face, and you know, that was fun.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Great idea. I did one year. I did, it was during COVID, actually. It was a little bit more expensive than I had planned on, but I went to the dollar store and I got ice cream scoops and sprinkles. And then I did a cute little thing. And then I mailed that to my top 50. It cost more because I had the mailing part of it cost more than I was expecting. But it was really well received. People loved it, right? They loved it. And because it was during COVID, they're like, we're going to get ice cream and put sprinkles on it. And so they loved the idea. The 2 people I have that do it, there's 2 shops in their town. And so they rotate back and forth. One year they'll do it one shop and they basically come in. It's like a 1 to 4 type thing. Whoever comes in and buys ice cream, you know, gets ice cream. That's what they pay for the day. So it's a nice touch, but you know, July, it's hot, right? So you've got National Tequila Day too in July. August, Dog Days of Summer, right? You could do, especially if they have pets, you could have an end of the summer barbecue. I mean, Monique, I think you did that. Back to school tips. You've got Friendship Day, Dog Day, National Book Lovers Day, and National S'mores Day. September, obviously we got 9/11. You got Labor Day, Hispanic History Month, and it's Grandparent Day, Fall Equinox, National Tailgating Day, and National Beer Lovers Day. And so again, could you host a happy hour at Zips where they've got a bunch of beers or wherever, you know, and have people come. And, you know, you have happy hour. Happy hours are cheap, you guys, and they're effective way to do it. I love that, Kristen. Neighborhood parties. Absolutely. Cindy Clark does that in Westbrook, and she's really become a strong pillar for her in farming in her neighborhood, is getting people together that, you know, especially in Monique, the golden community, right? Some of these people are shut up and all by themselves, right? And so we have a block party, and all of a sudden everybody's coming out and getting involved, right? October, obviously, I mean, pumpkins, right? You could do something with pumpkins. I'm going to do, I think it's my 4th year next Monday. I have it's online, and I do a costume contest. And so they have to put a picture of their costumes, and then you guys vote on who's going to win. So I do best kid, best pet, and best adult. And then you guys pick, and then I send out cards. I send a copy of it with a $5 Starbucks card. And so I'll do that again, and it's pretty successful. I've had clients, Nate actually did this a couple years ago. He delivered pumpkins to all of his top 50 and then did kind of a pumpkin carving contest type thing. So pumpkins are good. You could do a pumpkin patch if you wanted to. That's a lot of work, but it's really well received. So any fall events, how about on Halloween night? You know, Monique, you got a little guy you're going to be taking out. What if you took little goodie bags with your business card and, you know, like a little shot of tequila and some adult stuff, right? And you handed that out to the adults that are out schlepping around with their kids with your business card, right? I mean, that's easy to do and would be well received because no one else is thinking of that.
Actually, may I interrupt?
Absolutely.
While we're on that Halloween thing, I have a template that I can send out if you guys are interested for Halloween business cards.
Okay.
Here we go. I don't know how well you can see this, but they're 2 to a sheet. You put a piece of candy on the top, and your business card gets attached to the bottom. Hand them out at Halloween or any events that you're going to for fall.
Okay, cool. Why don't you send that to me, Eric, and then I'll get it out to everybody.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So do you have my email? You do? Yeah, you should. Okay, so October, so we've got breast cancer awareness, right? That's a big one. If you've been touched by that, that's a good one to do. You've got coffee day, taco day. That would be an awesome thing to do. And then World Animal Day, and of course, Halloween. One of our agents is doing a Halloween party. And so in fact, we've had a couple of our agents do Halloween parties. And so that's another touch, right? If you feel comfortable having people to your home, why not have a Halloween party, right? November, Pie Day. Get with Roberta if you want to do Pie Day. She helps spearhead that at Arrowhead North. It is wildly successful, you guys. People freaking love it. I'm going to do pies up here. I'm going to hand deliver pies to the couple people I've sold houses up here too. But Roberta organizes at the office. It's a great touch, you guys, and it's fairly inexpensive and people love it. How about hosting any kind of drives? So we're going into that time of year, right? So a food drive, a coat drive, a blanket drive. You've got daylight savings, which we don't really do much with here. Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Forget-Me-Not Day, Black Friday, and then Small Business Saturday. So if you've got people in your database that own businesses, highlight them. Right? Highlight them. I've got a gal that does Saturday Spotlight once a month. And again, they're in a smaller community, but she goes and highlights businesses. And those, you guys, businesses are craving for content as well. They're struggling for content just like you are. So if you've got a favorite taco shop and it's National Taco Day, go there, right? Go there and do something with it. Okay. So highlighting your people. December, holiday open houses are very successful. Monique had a tremendously successful very first one she ever did. It was wildly successful last year. But you could do, have Santa come, right? Take pictures. So holiday events, again, doing drives. I have a client that does a paper wrapping drive, and they donate that to charities to wrap presents for kids that, unfortunate kids. And so that is really successful too. So again, making phone calls, you guys, a holiday card. I don't care what holiday you want to pick, but a card is nice. You got Pearl Harbor Day, and then of course all the winter holidays that we have in there. So just be mindful of the demographic in your community. I like to cover all of them. So Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas, all of it, right? So I'm catching everybody because I don't know who might be Jewish in my database, right? So that's not something to necessarily talk about. And so I want to make sure I'm honoring that. I've got just a few more minutes here. I know I'm blasting through this. As you guys find this helpful? I hope so. Okay, so in chapter 10 on how to create raving fans. And so we've got different ideas. So you've got We talked about movie events, sporting events. I gave you guys some great ideas on that. Holiday open houses. You could do open houses for a lot of different holidays, right? So you could do a lot. There's several that you could do. We got the Pie Day, photos with Santa, happy hours. The Claytons do once a quarter. They do happy hour birthday. And so if you've had a birthday that quarter, they invite you to come have a happy hour. The goal that we want to advocate for you guys, if it's in your budget, is to do 6 to 8 face-to-face events per year. And Sandra, that might seem like a lot if you've never done one, but 4 happy hours, there's 4 quarters, there's 4 right there. You do a holiday event, that's 5. Maybe you host a movie event, that's 6. Right. So it's not that hard to get there. And here's another thing too, is talk to your vendors. If you're giving business to, a title company, a mortgage company, insurance agent, whatever, have them help you, have them sponsor it. You got to follow the rest of the rules, but they can sponsor it. And even if it's only $100, that's $100 less that's coming out of your pocket. I have hosted events for Nate where he's paid nothing because I went out and got sponsorships and had everything paid for. Okay. And so there's opportunities there to ask people. And if you're uncomfortable asking, come see me and I will help you script through that. Okay. Shred events, we talked about that, monthly marketing. So something every single month needs to be going out. So again, if you're going to do senior stuff, make it a plan to go once a month and go talk to those people. Okay. Yeah. So read chapter 10. I'm going to have to finish up because I got a coaching call at the top of the hour, but any questions, comments, ahas, anybody got something they want to drop real quick and say like, hey, this is my idea. I got this. See, I got a few things in the chat. Neighborhood parties. I love that. Who doesn't love a good party? Mother's Day. Yeah. Matt Parker used to do on Mother's Day, the Saturday before, he would go and deliver to his top 50, one stemmed flower to the moms in his business. And it was really, really successful. So, okay. Awesome. Sandra, you came off mute. You got something you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say last year I did the one of giving a gift to the parents as well as the kids for Halloween, and I'm doing it again. My table is covered in stuff.
Good. I love that. I love
Everybody's still talking about it. They're like, "Oh, that was so cool."
We talked about that last year, didn't we? And you did it. So I love that.
I have done some neighborhood party things, but I've got a lot out of just using any holiday to give out stuff, and it's very cheap. It doesn't.
Yeah, the dollar store is a great place.
Yeah,
Amazon's a great place. Get stuff. Costco's a great place. But yeah, I love that. So I don't have trick-or-treaters in my neighborhood, but I would do it if I did. So, but all right, you guys, I got to jump off. Thursday, we don't have any. There's no class on Thursday because of the pumpkin carving contest. But if you've never been to that, you definitely want to go, even if you're not participating, because it's just a lot of fun to watch everybody scurry around and then see who's going to win. And Mountie is always the best. With his entertainment, there's usually a rap or something. Roberta's talented, but Mountie's entertaining when he sings. So Kristen, Roberta's like, wait, I'm throwing the
like, wait till this year, man. You have no idea what's coming your way.
All right, awesome. Well, hopefully somebody takes good pictures and records. So I got to jump off, you guys. And don't forget, next Thursday is our annual risk management meeting. It's not mandatory, but it's highly encouraged that y'all attend. We have our attorneys come in and talk. So that's next Thursday. And it is at Rio Vista Community or Rec Center. It's not at We Serve. So make sure you note that, okay?
Oh.
All right. See you guys later. If you need anything, reach out. I'll get this stuff out to you a little bit later today. Okay. Have a great day.
Sarah.
Bye.
Bye.